We'll now call to order the Finance Committee for September 4th, 2018. Item number 1.
Consider approval of Finance Committee minutes of August 20th, 2018.
Have we had an opportunity to review the minutes?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Cale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 2.
Consider approval of claims for all city departments August 15th, 2018 through August 24th, 2018.
Do we have a report from the Purchasing Committee?
Yes, all the claims were reviewed and approved during our purchasing meeting.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Cale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 3.
Consider approval to purchase as a sole source the Faro Focus Laser Scanner from Faro Technologies in the amount of $49,912.80 or take other necessary action.
Chief Teehee or his representative. Deputy Chief Cotton.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
City Council, Mr. Mayor. We have Captain Crawford and Sergeant Burleson from the Muskogee Police Department Criminal Investigations Division, and they're going to present to you information about the Faro laser scanner.
Mayor, committee, I have a PowerPoint presentation I'd like to present to you guys. I guess. Yes. Okay. I'll go ahead and get started. The Faro scanning camera, we have it set up for you back here. We also have Clay Lawson, who is a sales representative with us. And that's the unit back there. If anybody has any tech questions, he's available to answer those for you. So we'll go through some of the benefits quickly. So what we're seeing is we can organize crime scenes more with this technology, case management efficiency, reduction in time at crime scenes. This is going to be big because we talk about manpower and the cost of being on scene and the effectiveness of not being fatigued when we do work those crime scenes. The ability to transition quickly from crime scene to crime scene and memorialize those events. It's also an accurate depiction of a crime scene. We eliminate human error with this technology, where we take millions of points of interest and measurement when we do these scans. Also, what it does is it is a 3D mapping technology that allows us to map out crime scenes, reconstruct accidents. We can map out historic buildings and parks and recs, or parks to do virtual tours of them. Also, this technology is supported by our district attorney's office. They want this to enhance their cases for courtroom presentation. So some of the examples, I believe they're in the packets that you have. We can go through those. And the quote that we have, the actual scanning camera itself is $31,899.95, and that is what you see on top of the tripod back there. Also, the tripod itself is $847, and then the software for this is $4,600, $16.98, and then we are also obtaining the laptop notebook that allows us to use the software and map out all the different diagrams that we use. So something that's included in this packet is the training, and we have the ability to have the company to come to us, and they provide 6 training spots, so we don't have to send anybody out of state to do this. So just some examples so you guys can see what the scanner actually does. I'm going to play a couple videos for you. You can skip this video, Mike. So just to make sure that we're on the right one. I want to skip this one. Okay, so Yep. So this is some examples. I don't know if you can see that all that well. But these are accident reconstructions to give you an idea how the technology works. They're pretty brief videos.
Stopper & Associates is a firm who conducts accident investigations and reconstructions. We also teach accident investigation and reconstruction. Today we're at Texas Motor Speedway and we're conducting a controlled crash test using motorcycles and passenger vehicles. Found the Focus 3D allows us to acquire an incredible volume of data. Unlike using a total station where you're picking points at your discretion and then essentially connecting the dots, this is creating millions of dots. So even data that you may not have felt was important at the initial scan, you have that access to that data months, weeks, and years later. The laser scanner we find not only does it acquire a great deal of data, but it does it very efficiently. It's very easy to use in the field, very easy setup, easy to transport. I've examined 3D technology for many, many years, and I was impressed with both the cost factor has come down tremendously, but more importantly, the fact that it's the size of the unit. It's all self-contained, data is easily transferable on typical SD cards, and it just works very, very well for us.
So that's just an example of accident reconstruction. I have one more video if you guys have time for it. It's a very brief video, but it will give you an idea what an actual crime scene scan would look like and a walkthrough. And that's what this is. This is an actual scan that the camera did. And this is an example of the technology that would enhance our criminal investigations. It can be used in all aspects throughout the city and our community, but this is to scale also. There's probably millions of points of measurement in this scan itself. And to give you an example of what we do now, we respond to a scene and we may take 20 to 30 measurements by hand, which creates some degree of human error. And this is within a millimeter. But that's an example of a crime scene that was scanned with this machine, and just open it up to questions. And the representative is with me if anybody has any questions about the technology.
Do we have any questions or comments from the committee?
How many people will be trained to use this?
We will have 6 spots available at the police department, and we'll take letters and select those to go to that training. The representatives come from, I think they're going to come from Texas and put that training on. We'll host it.
Any other questions or comments?
I think this wonderful technology that we're getting, it can be used in so many different avenues. I did have one question. I know this was a budgeted item, but I didn't see in the background information. How much did we budget for this item?
We budgeted $50,000.
Okay, so we're right at that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Make a motion. Motion we approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 4.
Consider approval of receiving donated funds for the month of July 2018 in the amount of $2,904.74 for the city's animal shelter sponsorship program as per the attached list, or take other necessary action.
To the mayor and council, once again, we would ask that you would move for approval on these donations.
Do we have any questions or comments from the committee?
Move the approval.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
No one has signed up to speak to this committee, so therefore we are adjourned.
We'll now call to order the Muskogee Public Works Committee at 5:30. Item number 1.
Consider approval of Public Works Committee minutes of August 20th, 2018.
Everybody's had time to review the minutes.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item passes. Item number 2.
Consider approval of ordinance number 4054A, amending Chapter 80, Urban Renewal Authority, Section 80-102, Urban Renewal Authority, requiring council appointment process occur by ward, providing for repealer, severability, and setting an effective date, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Tucker.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, staff has put this item on to make a correction to what has potentially become an unintended consequence from our uniform appointment ordinance. As you all know, the way that we have adopted our procedure is that each member has an appointment on every board. And so that is done by seniority, but ultimately the intention is that each council member during their term get an appointment on a board. Most of our boards and commissions have 9 members, so that's fairly easy. With the exception of the Urban Renewal Authority, none of our boards have any restrictions for a particular candidate living in a specific ward, but for Urban Renewal Authority. So that's why we brought this up for discussion and potential amendment today. What started was there was a email circulated relating to appointments to Urban Renewal, and we had a number of council members who were making appointments to positions, to ward positions not in their ward. And so had a few phone calls asking if was this a mistake or that it didn't make a lot of sense that someone in a ward wouldn't select someone within their own ward for an appointment. So Tammy and I looked at this and decided that the easiest way to fix this would be to make an amendment to the Urban Renewal Ordinance to require that each appointment be from the person within that ward. So normally what would happen is we'd look at the list, who's had an appointment recently, and then the next person would get that appointment. So, for example, let's use Ward 2 as an example. So, Ward 2, you've got Councilor Stouts and Hall, and then you have a position on Ward 2. So Ward 2 is one of the positions that we have vacant. So the person who made that appointment last time was Dan Hall. So the person who would make this appointment would be Jamie Stout. So, and she is councilwoman for Ward 2, and that position is in Ward 2. The way it's set up without any modification, that Ward 2 would go to another appointment. I think it was yours, Councilor Coleman.
Yeah.
And so it was sort of counterintuitive to what we believe was intended. So if this item is approved, that will correct the appointment process so that it is by ward from a council member within that ward. Happy to answer any questions.
Yes, I have a question. I'll be recognized, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Yeah, I have an appointment for Urban Renewal Ward 4, and I've already talked to the lady about it. Now, how's that going to work out now?
Well, once this is approved, those will be revised, and so I believe there's a Ward 3 appointment, so you will have the appointment in Ward 3, and the Ward 4 appointment, I think, will go to Councilor Coleman, and so my suggestion would be that appointment would be then Councilor Coleman's if this is approved. And so to coordinate with Counselor Coleman and see if he's desirous of appointing that person as well. And then you would have a person, Ward 3, to appoint.
Okay. I'll turn the floor back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions?
Move for approval.
A second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other questions on this item? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Kale,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman,
Yes.
Wayne Johnson,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item passes. Item number 3.
Consider approval of an amended affirmative action plan of the City of Muskogee, Oklahoma for fiscal year 2018-2019, Council Policy 3-1-1, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Plunkett.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. This is our annual update of the affirmative action plan for the city. Not a whole lot of information has changed again this year. I would like to add that our recruiting efforts for the police department and the fire department have been doing some good. Over the last couple recruiting processes, we have received some minorities in the fire department, and we've also received minorities in the police department along with females. No statistical information yet in regards to the fire department for the hires, but we have gotten applicants, so that's a good thing. One other change in this policy is we have replaced a committee member for the affirmative action committee. One person had decided to drop off for personal reasons, and we have replaced that person with another individual. Happy to answer any questions.
My question is to either you, Ms. Plunkett, or to the city manager. Is the plan, we meeting the objectives of the spirit of what the plan actually sets out to do?
I believe so, yes. Again, we have not hired anybody for the fire department yet. We're currently in the process of the last police department process. We had several minorities that applied. We did not hire any minorities because I do not believe that there was any that passed the written examination. But our numbers, they're not improving significantly. They're improving very, very slightly. But because of the numbers of the hires in the police department or public safety sector, if we hire one, it doesn't change the percentage very, very much.
And the reason I asked that question is because I think many of us would like to celebrate when we're able to go from having more minorities actually apply to actually being able to pass these tests and be hired.
We have seen an improvement in the fire department's test on the written prep. As you may know, we included a written prep test the last couple of times that we've hired for the police department and the fire department. And that, excuse me, that we have seen an improvement from that process that Mr. Beasley is doing. For the fire department, not necessarily for the police department yet.
I know that many of the parameters for testing are set by the state and are beyond our control. Are we doing what we can do to be certain that our parameters are not in excess of what the state actually requires?
Yes. We are required for the police department to give the post test, which is the test that the cleat requires, and that's the test that we give. It's not exceeding that at all. And then the fire test is an entry-level fire department test that is also approved.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great questions. Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'll be recognized.
Yes.
I remember when Councilman Kale got on the council, he asked me this question about minorities on the fire department, and I told him, remember what I told you, right, Councilman Kale?
Yes, sir.
But I also have a problem with the city itself not having enough minorities. I mean, in general. Because like you can go to department head meetings, there's not that many minorities up here at the city working inside the city hall right now. I commend the minorities we have on this council. Women, people of color, Indians, I commend that. But as far as up here in the city itself, and I haven't been all over the different departments like the, PublicWorks and all that. I know it's, it's going, but I'm talking about right here in our own city hall. It's not a lot. Would you say?
Being a minority myself, I can say yes. I sit at the department head table, and there's only a few female department heads, so I feel that. We cannot do anything but try to recruit better for the minority population. In the hiring, we qualify and certify the most qualified applicants that we can. We don't look at race when we look at qualifications. That's something that would be against the law, so we don't do that. But if there is a minority that would be the most qualified, then they would be deemed, the most qualified to be hired. Our recruiting efforts, again, I think they've improved all across all boards of the city, all positions across the city. And we do our best to select those most qualified.
If I might add, it's a competitive hiring environment in Muskogee and other places right now. The statewide unemployment rate's very low. So we're trying to do our best to recruit the best possible people we can. If you guys know of anyone that's looking for work, we've got several jobs open right now at the city, and we're happy to take those in Kelly's office. Because we have jobs open and we're looking to fill them.
We've got skilled positions open right now that we need to fill.
Yes.
I should give a recruiting speech right now.
Yeah.
The reason I say this is because one time there was a minority applied for a position up here, and it didn't get to you. It just got to the desk and sat there. And ever since then, I've had a problem with that. I mean, it shouldn't have been that way. Get to the desk, to the secretary, but not get to you.
If the person doesn't have the minimum qualifications, meaning a high school diploma, GED, or a driver's license, they won't get to my desk. Because 98% of our positions do require those. If you remember a couple of years ago, we did drop the requirements for our entry-level positions to not require a high school diploma or GED, and I believe that was Councilmember Coleman's idea to do that. However, all of our positions do require a driver's license, so if they do not meet the minimum qualifications, they don't come to my office.
Well, this person I know him personally, and they were agreed up. They had the qualifications, but still, it sat there on that secretary's desk, which was wrong.
Mr. Van, if you have an individual personnel issue you'd like to talk about, we can do that outside the meeting.
Okay, but I'm just giving you some highlight, what I've noticed personally,
Yeah, and please bring that to our attention.
Outside. Trust me, Kelly, I'll bring it to your attention in a minute.
Do we have any questions regarding the current policy that we're discussing?
Like I say, let me ask you one more question, Kelly. How do you think, as a human resource person, how can we reach out to minorities to get them on the fire department or the police department? You got any ideas?
Any additional ideas
Any additional ideas?
Not anything more than as a member of the committee on the recruiting committees. We've been coming up with many ideas, and I think it was Chief Teehee last week at our staff meeting, or maybe the week before, stated that some of those ideas that we had in the meetings a couple of years ago are finally starting to be live. They're making a recruiting video for the police department. I think that the fire department could do the same thing. Brochures are nice for handouts. We offer 10 days of work per month for the fire department. Is that something that you're interested in? And we can target the local churches and those groups that we have been. So any additions, not right off the top of my head. I think we're doing a good job. We just need to follow through with those thoughts that we've had.
Even if we try to target it, high schools. When kids, in the 12th grade.
And we do that as well.
I'll turn the floor back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions regarding item number 3 on the action plan?
Mr. Chairman, one thing I'd also like to highlight regarding the fire department recruitment efforts for minorities is that Chief Odell has made a very determined effort to reach out to civic groups and churches to be certain that when there's a new recruiting phase, that he does let us know. And so I want to thank him for doing that, and I'm certain that Chief Teehee will follow through in similar fashion.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion we approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Patrick Cale?
Yes.
Marlon Coleman?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Ivory Vance?
Yes.
Jamie Stout?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
Item passes. Item number 4.
Consider approval of amended Council Policy 3-3-3, Vacation Leave Policy, and Council Policy 3-3-5, Holiday Leave Policy, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Plunkett again.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, these two policies are updates from our previous policies. The previous policies that we had in place specified that the police chief and the fire chief would receive the benefits of the applicable union groups, even though they were not covered by their union contracts. This policy gives the city the decision to make with the police or fire chief whether they want to be included in the general employees or non-uniformed employee benefits or the applicable union contract benefits. And both policies would be the same. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions from the council?
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any clarifications needed? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Patrick Kale?
Yes.
Marlon Coleman?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Ivory Van?
Yes.
Jamie Stout?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
Item
Thank you.
passes. Item number 5.
Consider approval of the appointment of Stacy Alexander to serve a 3-year term on the Planning and Zoning Commission, replacing Shirley Hilton, beginning October 1, 2018, and ending on September 30th, 2021, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Boydston.
Yes, Stacy Alexander is a local realtor with several years' experience, and she has agreed to serve on this committee, and I move that she be approved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Patrick Kale?
Yes.
Marlon Coleman?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Ivory Van?
Yes.
Jamie Stout?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
Item passes. Item number 6.
Consider approval of the appointment of Dr. Fred Reefer to serve a 7-year term on the Muskogee Medical Center Authority, replacing Wayne Wilburn, beginning September 1, 2018, and ending on August 31, 2025, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Chairman, if I could take this item,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed contacted me last week and asked me to place this appointment on the agenda for your consideration. His recommendation to fill the spot of Wayne Wilburn on the hospital board is Dr. Fred Reefer. Dr. Reefer is a longtime resident of Muskogee and is a orthopedic surgeon who has semi-retired. And so he reached out to me to ask that Councilor Reed appoint him. I put the two of them in contact. Dr. Reefer has also been on the authority at one point, and I believe he's been off either a year or two, maybe longer. But he is interested in being reappointed to that board, and he feels that as due to his experience in being as a physician, he would bring a lot to that board, particularly as it relates to our continued negotiations with St. Francis. So that is Councilor Reed's recommendation, so I put that before you for action.
Move for
An excellent
approval.
appointment.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Patrick Kale?
Yes.
Marlon Coleman?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Ivory Van?
Yes.
Jamie Stout?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
Item passes. Item number 7.
Consider approval to authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute an agreement with Tredebi Environmental Services, LLC, for conducting the household hazardous waste pollutant collection, transportation, and disposal event for the city, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Riley.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and committee. Our former consultant that did this was Heritage Environmental. We had some issues with them, so we parted ways and we went out for proposals. We got 4 proposals. We ended up interviewing 2, and we selected Tredebi as the most qualified firm, and we'd like to go forward with negotiating the contract with them. The thing that stood out most about them was their references with other entities. That they all spoke very highly of them and had no problems. So we felt this was a very good consultant, and we recommend approval.
Okay. Any questions from council?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
how many disposals per year do we get with the new contract?
We're doing 2 events a year.
2 events a year. And in times past, are we aware of whether or not that's enough? Do we need more? I'm just concerned as we go forward in negotiating if we think we need an additional an event.
Counselor, the times that I have been there, and I've been on 2 different occasions, there has not been an abundance of traffic.
Not an abundance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had to wait 5 minutes.
Okay.
Our turnout's not huge. I think what, 2
Average around 120
Is that because people don't know, or that's the regular volume for a city our size?
I'm not sure if it's just, I think we get a lot of repeat customers.
Okay.
Always go.
We advertise, and then we'll try to put more effort into that to get more people in. So.
Thank you.
Move the approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other questions? I really think this is a great service for our community, and we appreciate y'all doing it. Thank you for checking the references, because that's the key.
Avoid just picking it up on the roadside.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item passes. Item number 8.
Consider approval to receive the City of Muskogee's annual Phase 2 Stormwater Report for permitted MS4 municipal separate storm sewer systems submitted by ODEQ March 1, 2018, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Riley again.
Mr. Chairman of the committee, Abby Wright is going to present this report. So.
Hi, everyone. As one of our requirements in the stormwater plan is one of my best management practices is that I'll present the report annually to you guys, so I'm just doing that. We actually submitted it in March. I was waiting to hear back from DEQ, and I never heard back from them, so I'm assuming no news is good news, and so I wanted to give it to you guys now. Let's see. I know I sent you all the packets, so I'm going to try to make this short and sweet. I have it. Table 2 on there has the status of our compliance with our permit conditions. Most of that is kind of boilerplate or standard conditions. The ones that we made specific to our community are where it says MCM number 1 through 6, and that stands for minimum control measures. It tells us how we're going to try to reduce pollution to our system, to our stormwater system. And so we have different things that we told DEQ that we would do, and those are I figured up the compliance with that based on a percentage, based on what percent we got done, what percent we didn't. So that's what those are. Table 4 kind of shows what some of those are, as in the program and activity data. Like our stormwater events, our household pollutant event is one event, or 2 of the events that is included. So is our azalea cleanup event that we do every year. And I try to make sure we get all of the numbers from those events so we could report that to DEQ as to what we're cleaning up. So I also put a list of everything that we've Table 5 has stormwater activities to be done during the next period, which most of we've already done. We've done a lot of those because I submitted the report in March, and I put some of the events before that and after that. So there's only a couple that we need to do still, which is mostly our pollutant events, some more inspections, and maybe some updates, an ordinance or 2. And then the last 2 are mostly just changes that I need to submit to DEQ. Like I said, I was waiting for a response from them. Since I haven't got one, I want to go ahead and submit those changes that are on there and update our program. Any questions?
Yep. Mr. Chairman, are we recognized?
Yes.
Yes, I was wondering, whatever happened to the, like on DEQ, the problem we had down the Midland Valley with the water coming underneath the railroad and still running down the ditch, running all the way into a pond, going through people's yard? What has ever happened to that? I haven't heard anything about it. Has DEQ said anything more to you about
I
it?
have not heard anything about it from them, no. So.
But it's still a problem.
Okay.
You know, it's been a 2-year problem.
Yeah. I was out there before, but yeah, I hadn't heard anything.
So somebody is dropping this 2-year problem's ball, because people out there deserve not to have water coming underneath the railroad track, running through their yard, going through ditches that they've had to dig themselves in order to get the water out the yard and end up in somebody's pond. That's wrong. So I think that we need to look into that further and get on top of this and get it fixed.
I can surely check into it.
Turn the floor back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
We really do appreciate the report that you provided here to the council. It's kind of interesting with DEQ. No news is good news.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
But,
So
yeah, that is definitely, with a regulating agency, that is definitely the way it goes. Any other things from council or any other questions? Thank you very much for the report.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
I move for approval.
We do need to accept this report, correct?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Anything else? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Kale,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
The only other item would be anybody that, from the public. We've not received any requests from the public to be heard, so that will conclude our Public Works meeting for tonight. Thank you very much for your attendance.